In May 2025, South Asia once again found itself holding its breath. News alerts flashed across screens, fighter jets roared near contested borders, and millions on both sides of the Pakistan-India divide woke up with the same silent fear. For a few tense days, the idea of a full-scale war between two nuclear-armed neighbors no longer felt distant, but dangerously real. Behind the dramatic headlines, a deeper story was unfolding that many people never fully heard. What actually happened during those critical days of May 2025 was far more complex than the headline suggested. The greatest danger did not lie only in weapons or troop movements, but in miscalculations, pressure, and long-standing mistrust. History, politics, and emotion combined to create a moment where one wrong decision could have changed everything. Understanding this requires looking beyond breaking news and emotional reactions. Pakistan and India share one of the most complicated relationships in the modern world, shaped by partition, unresolved disputes, and decades of conflict. Tension has never fully disappeared. Even during calmer periods, distrust remained deeply rooted in politics, media, and public thinking. By early 2025, this fragile balance was under growing strain. Domestic pressures were rising on both sides as regional dynamics continued to shift. Political speeches became sharper, and security concerns were discussed in increasingly emotional language. Every border incident or accusation added another layer to an already unstable situation. Patience was wearing thin, and the risk of escalation was quietly growing. For decades, Pakistan-India relations have followed a familiar pattern of calm followed by crisis. The unresolved issue of Kashmir has remained at the center of repeated confrontations since 1947. Wars, military standoffs, and ceasefire agreements promised peace, but rarely delivered lasting stability. This history created an environment where even small incidents could be seen as major provocations. Over time, this unresolved past became part of everyday politics and public psychology. Military forces stayed alert, even in quieter years, and suspicion never truly faded. By the early 2020s, social media and louder nationalist rhetoric made tensions spread faster than ever. By 2025, both countries were not moving toward peace, but waiting for the next trigger. As 2025 began, warning signs were already visible to careful observers. Border regions saw increased alertness, while media outlets closely followed every development. Statements from officials carried subtle but clear warnings, and talk shows pushed aggressive narratives. Trust continued to erode with every passing week. What made this period especially dangerous was the speed of information. Unverified claims could go viral within minutes and shape public opinion before facts were confirmed. Diplomatic communication still existed, but it remained cautious and limited. By late April 2025, tension felt familiar but unusually heavy. Then came May 2025, when events unfolded rapidly and unpredictably. A series of reported incidents, military movements, and political messaging pushed the situation into global headlines. Airspace alerts made news, and civilians near sensitive areas felt fear firsthand. Schools closed in some regions, and uncertainty became part of daily life. The atmosphere surrounding these events made the situation even more dangerous. Every move was interpreted through worst-case scenarios, increasing fear and pressure. Analysts warned of escalation, while ordinary citizens worried about safety and stability. The line between signaling strength and provoking retaliation grew dangerously thin. For a brief moment, the key question was no longer whether tensions would rise. Instead, the world wondered whether they could still be controlled. Small miscalculations carried enormous risk in a region shaped by past conflicts. History seemed uncomfortably close to repeating itself. As tensions peaked, the international community reacted with urgency. Global powers closely monitored the situation, aware of the serious consequences of any conflict. Diplomatic channels suddenly became active, and calls for restraint were issued. Behind closed doors, efforts focused on preventing further escalation. Economic concerns added another layer of pressure. Markets reacted nervously, and international organizations expressed concern for civilian safety. The unspoken fear was the risk of uncontrolled escalation in a nuclear-armed region. That fear alone pushed diplomatic engagement into high gear. Gradually, signs emerged that the immediate danger was easing. Tensions did not disappear, but the rapid slide toward confrontation slowed. No single decision ended the crisis. It was a mix of restraint and external pressure. A fragile understanding formed that war would cost far more than any gain. When the dust began to settle, one question remained unanswered. Who actually benefited from the crisis of May 20? Civilians endured anxiety. Economies faced uncertainty, and regional stability was shaken again. The deeper issues remained unresolved beneath the surface. Leaders spoke of strength and resolve, but long-term solutions were still missing. Managing tension once again replaced solving the root problems. Without meaningful dialogue, the risk of another crisis remains constant. History shows that pauses are not the same as peace. The events of May 2025 also revealed how quickly modern conflicts can escalate. Instant information and emotional reactions leave little room for calm decisions. Small sparks can grow into serious crises within hours. Responsibility, therefore, carries greater weight than ever. In a region where nuclear weapons exist, every escalation carries consequences beyond borders. Peace is not simply a political choice, but a shared responsibility. Stepping back from the edge is not a sign of weakness. It is, ultimately, a step towards survival.